这个视频能证明我在中国。
I'm in China, and I openly oppose Xi Jinping. A young man from Hubei province, Zhang Qiyuan, publicly opposed the Chinese Communist Party on social media. He called Xi Jinping a dictator during a live broadcast in July. The footage showed Zhang authorizing Taiwanese anti-communist influencer Ba Zheng's plea for help.
如果我24小时不回复你的信息
If I don't respond to your messages within 24 hours, it means the national security, the cyberspace administration, or the local police have come for me. This video can prove that I am in China. If you see a so-called television confession, know that it's fake. It's not real. It's the result of coercion. YouTuber Pa Chung can use this video to expose them. I, Zhang Qiyuan, declare that I will not commit suicide or be killed. The video was recorded by Zhang on July 10th after being summoned by the local police station. Since then, the brave young man has been out of contact, and it was widely believed that he has likely been detained.
在办公大厅高喊"打倒共产党"
Down with the Communist Party! Down with the Communist Party! This was shouted by 70-year-old Shanghai petitioner Liu Dongbao in March this year during a report to the Jiang'an District Discipline Inspection Commission in the office lobby. Down with the Communist Party! Down with the Communist Party! This is a cry of awake Chinese people. So, will the CCP really collapse quickly? In July, the Hudson Institute, a top conservative think tank in the US, released a new report titled China After Communism, Preparing for a Post-CCP China, written by the Institute's China expert, Professor Miles Yu. Multiple experts from military, economic, and human rights perspectives have painted a complete blueprint for a China without the CCP. These experts sharply pointed out that the CCP's collapse is not a fantasy, but rather seems more like a countdown. National Taiwan University honorary professor Ming-Chu Cheng stated on a Taiwanese news program that totalitarian countries are opaque, and much of the information released by the government in public is for propaganda purposes. The real internal situation is something that totalitarian governments will not disclose. What they fear is color revolution. Totalitarian regimes often appear powerful before collapsing, but once revolution arrives, they can suddenly fall. This is the case with the former Soviet Union. Before the Soviet Union collapsed, it was landing on the moon, launching satellites, conducting the first space war, and highlighting its strong economy. But when it collapsed, it happened in an instant. He visited Europe and asked Soviet experts there who could foresee the collapse of the communist regime in Eastern Europe. All bowed their heads in silence, with no one answering. Ming said that Miles Yu's statement about the CCP's potential sudden collapse is, from today's perspective, possible. So, how should the United States respond? The report indicates that the United States has prepared a detailed plan for the CCP's potential end. The CCP is facing an unprecedented crisis both internally and externally. Economic recession, internal corruption, and international isolation are accelerating its challenges, and the US has formulated a detailed response plan to assist China in its transition to democracy. The report states that the end of the CCP will provide China with an opportunity to establish a lasting balance with a modern nation-state international system. After the CCP ends, the United States will support the Chinese people in the pursuit of freedom and their vision of finding a lasting place in the modern world. Before the CCP's end, U.S. government agencies should initiate a sustained strategic messaging campaign, public diplomacy, information operations, and covert influence actions. The goal should be to emphasize the division between the party and the state, the party and the military, and the party and the people. The U.S. Special Operations Forces capabilities are suited for this mission, working in coordination with the U.S. State Department and other government agencies. They should conduct what George Kennan referred to as political warfare, expanding its scale and intensity as the CCP's end approaches. In this campaign, U.S. Special Forces, including the CIA Special Activities Center and other intelligence agencies, will establish proxy networks, train partner forces, carry out cyber operations, and support other covert means to deliver information to people inside China. These information operations should lead people to question the CCP's version of history. U.S. Special Forces can use the CCP's planned propaganda efforts to highlight its insecurities and expose its United Front Work Department's international actions. At the same time, U.S. Special Forces should expand joint training and operations with Taiwan's Political Warfare Bureau, emphasizing Taiwan's example to demonstrate to the people of the People's Republic of China that an alternative political system is possible. In these initial engagements, the United States should provide humanitarian aid based on urgent needs, offer diplomatic recognition to China's provisional central government, and establish intelligence sharing agreements to provide early warning of potential invasions along China's land borders. The U.S. should propose 3 urgent actions to China's provisional government to be carried out by the newly formed Chinese military with assistance from U.S. Special Forces, border security, humanitarian aid to disaster-stricken areas, and the security of weapons of mass destruction. U.S. Special Operations Forces are suited for this delicate task due to their ability to operate in small teams through proxies and among civilians. The U.S. government should address these critical emergency needs through small, covert special operations forces. The first thing that will have to be addressed will be border security. The report emphasizes that U.S. Special Forces will focus on stabilizing the situation with clear mission objectives, short time frames, and withdrawal once the mission is completed, avoiding a long-term military presence. U.S. Special Forces conducting joint border patrols and serving as liaisons would be in a position to understand the sentiments and networks of the people in post-communist China. These operations will compete with remaining CCP forces for public support of the new political system and disrupt any intelligence gathering, sabotage operations, and rebellious plans by forces still loyal to the CCP. The U.S. has also devised a regional contact strategy. If local governments emerge in areas like Xinjiang, Tibet, or Guangdong, the U.S. will not rush to support a central government, but will establish contacts separately, aiming to prevent the rise of new authoritarian regimes. This indicates that the U.S. prefers a model where China first adopts a local autonomy, then gradually integrates. The U.S. has planned a strategy to assist China's democratic transformation, specifically through the implementation of 5 major democratic projects. First, establish independent media by ending censorship. Second, support non-governmental organizations and religious groups in rebuilding civil society. Third, end ideological education and ensure judicial independence. Fourth, abolish religious restrictions to restore freedom of belief. And fifth, draw a new constitution through a constituent assembly involving all citizens to establish constitutional democracy, ensuring freedom of speech, belief, association, and human rights protections. To address the historical trauma caused by CCP rule, the report suggests following South Africa's example by establishing a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, publicly releasing records of the regime's actions, holding hearings, and providing compensation and apologies to victims. The goal is to avoid vengeful retribution and achieve social reconciliation. These proposals indicate that the U.S. has developed a comprehensive response plan rather than a simple idea. It seems they are waiting for the right moment to act, ensuring that China does not return to authoritarian rule. One might question whether various departments have already begun rehearsing these plans. The Hudson Institute's report originated from a seminar held on July 16. The report spans 124 pages and features 9 authors, 5 of whom are named and 4 remain anonymous. The first author is Miles Yu, followed by Gordon Chang, biosecurity and strategic affairs expert Ryan Clark, and others. The concept of a China without the Communist Party has been presented. Before the U.S. report, Professor Wu Guoguang, a senior researcher at the China Economic and Institutional Research Center at Stanford University, also repeatedly called for a post-Communist Party China. He stated that the vast majority of people in the world today live without Communist Party autocracy or other forms of political dictatorship. From the broader context of human development, the communist system has ended globally for over 30 years, with ample historical evidence providing the system's flaws, issues, disasters, and unsustainability. China's current economic difficulties are not solely caused by any particular economic policy. These issues are linked to the institutional dilemma of China's model, specifically the fundamental contradiction between one-party autocracy, monopolized political power, and the market economy under this political framework. During Hu Jintao's era, the difficulties had already surfaced, including the retreat of private enterprises in favor of state-owned ones, and severe employment issues, which he was unable to resolve at the time. The institutional dilemma can only be addressed through institutional reform. The Chinese model is unsustainable, and Xi Jinping's rule has made it even worse. Commentator Kai Shen-kun stated that the CCP's rule combines elements of imperial power and Soviet Russia influence, so its end should involve factors seen in the fall of both systems. First, there must be a political strongman to carry out political reforms, and second, there must be a shift in public sentiment, with the central government losing its absolute control over local authorities. Recently, reports have circulated about Xi Jinping losing power, with other political figures running the central leadership. In May, overseas media learned from authoritative sources that although Xi Jinping still appears in power, the situation has changed. CCP elders such as Wen Jiabao and Zhang Youxia, the first vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, have become key figures influencing China's political landscape. On June 16th, a commentator outside of China quoted internal sources stating that there were differences within the CCP's top leadership on how to handle Xi Jinping. Zhang Youxia and Wen Jiabao advocated for a thorough reckoning with Xi, while figures like Hu Jintao, aiming to maintain political stability, call for Xi to step down with dignity. On June 26, commentator Du Zeng, writing for Taiwan's Up Media, revealed that a well-known anti-Xi political elder in Beijing recently shared a message suggesting that people should wait and see, as changes are expected in the fall, and by October, the situation will become clearer. This term's Politburo, claiming to be Xi Jinping's carefully chosen team, has now reached its halfway mark, and many members are facing issues. Xi's close confidant, Miao Hua, has also been arrested. On July 1st, Politburo member Ma Xingrui was removed from his position as party secretary of Xinjiang. Former Central United Front Worker Department Minister Shi Taifeng suddenly took over as Minister of the Organization Department in late March, while former Minister of the Organization Department Li Ganjie was reassigned to lead the UFWD. The Organization Department is a core power center of the CCP, while UFWD is relatively a less central role. Military Commission Vice Chairman He Weidong has been missing since the conclusion of the National People's Congress in March and has reportedly fallen from power. The Ministry of Public Security has seen recent changes. Ling Zifeng, a member of the Public Security Party Committee and director of the Political Department, was appointed as Vice Minister of Public Security, Wang Zizong. Vice Minister of Public Security and Party Secretary of the Special Forces Bureau, was transferred to head the National Immigration Administration. Yang Wei-ling was appointed as Vice Minister of Public Security, and Chen Shiyuan and Sun Mao-li were removed from their vice ministerial positions. Political commentator Yue Shan noted that Ling Zifeng, a member of the Zhejiang faction, does not have close ties to Public Security Minister Wang Xiaohong. The Special Forces Bureau itself has a function of monitoring top leaders, and Wang Xiaohong's control might have weakened. Personnel changes in this department, which oversees the surveillance of leaders, have become sensitive ahead of the Beidaihe meeting, reflecting an escalation in internal CCP power struggles. On June 26, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn posted on X that the CCP is clearly undergoing a power shift. China watchers need to closely monitor core CCP members, especially officials in the public and state security ministries, as they lose confidence. Flynn's post included an image featuring three individuals: Ding Xuexiang, member of the Politburo Standing Committee, Chen Jingning, mayor of Shanghai, and Zhang Youxia, first vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. This sparked speculation as Flynn, who previously served as director of the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency and national security advisor during President Trump's first term, is considered a credible source for such statements. On June 28, George W. Slayton, former U.S. ambassador to Bermuda and former faculty at Beijing's University of International Business and Economics, wrote in the New York Post that Xi Jinping's removal might be imminent. He noted this has never been more evident, with dozens of senior military officials loyal to Xi purged or dying mysteriously, all replaced by generals from other factions. The military is effectively controlled by Zhang Youxia, who once helped Xi but later fell out with him. These reflect power struggles within the CCP leadership, but the party is more concerned about public awakening, which could accelerate its downfall. Amid reports of Xi Jinping's serious illness and loss of power, on July 15, the X account Fight for Freedom posted an open letter to Xi from a conscientious Chinese citizen. The letter states, "You have harmed the country and its people, and it is time to apologize and step down. For 13 years in power, you used slogans like anti-corruption and promoting integrity and great rejuvenation as people awaited your upholding of the rule of law, promotion of freedom, improvement of livelihoods, and virtuous governance. Instead, they face a nightmare, a dictator dismantling reform and opening up, pulling 1.4 billion people into silence and fear. The economy has collapsed. Private enterprises are either investigated or absorbed. Youth are either lying flat or emigrating. University diplomas are worthless like waste paper. The real estate bubble has burst like an illusion. Local finances are depleted. Debt levels are critical. Yet you continue lavish spending abroad, turning Chinese people's hard-earned money into bribes and support for corrupt overseas regimes. Today's China is not a soaring dragon, but a sick lion chained, blinded, and trapped in an ice cave by you. Additionally, on the sensitive topic of organ transplantation within the CCP, Chinese people are beginning to voice opposition. Famous writer Song Zide has publicly demanded an immediate and complete ban on organ transplantation, suggesting, except for voluntary donations and transplants between family members, all other organ transplants should be illegal, directly cutting off the black profit chain. If minors are involved in live organ transplants, the hospital director, the lead surgeon, and the organ recipient should all face the death penalty to be carried out immediately. Song Zide first made this suggestion in a Weibo post in March and has continued to spread. Netizens nationwide have been sharing and supporting Song's suggestion through short videos, blog posts, images, and other formats on various social media platforms. This year, several prominent scholars within China's establishment have unusually spoken out publicly under their real names, issuing long articles to strongly criticize the CCP and Xi Jinping. On April 28th, two female professors from South China University of Technology, Ling Ying and Han Shuangyang, jointly published an open letter titled, "A Spark Can Start a Prairie Fire." They openly criticized Xi Jinping for establishing a de facto monarchy and called on the Chinese people, especially university students, to oppose dictatorship and strive for democracy and freedom. With the chaos within the CCP's upper ranks, the awakening of the Chinese people, and the external assistance from other countries, it is possible for the CCP to collapse in an instant.